Humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Lord. Respected elders, sisters, and brothers, a warm sairam to all of you. It's a great privilege and honor to be here in this satsang, Sai Kisang, and share my experiences with Swami. Swami has blessed me with a whole lot of experiences as a Sai student, and I'm invited to speak on this. How can it get any better than that? I'm not a natural speaker. I'm not an orator, though I can. The kind of coaching that I do is more one-to-one, a lot more easier to work with. But that's what Swami does to you, right? Swami kind of encourages you to push yourself beyond the comfort zone, but also make sure that you succeed in what he is commanded to do. So every time, either I stand up to speak or on these calls when I'm sitting and talking, for me, it's one more tick on my bucket list to speak, just to be a speaker. And every time I do this, my memories take me back to Dasara 1988. I was still a new student, new to Swami's fold, at least from our perspective. We know our connection with Swami goes back to several births. But at least in this birth, it was kind of, I was new to the campus, I was new to Swami's education system, everything new to Swami. So we were called for an interview, for a group interview. And I suddenly saw it's not my class. By then, our class had got multiple interviews Swami had blessed us with. So it's not my classmates. And there is a cross-section of students from different streams, some of them, PG students, UG students, and also some research scholars. So, I was kind of an odd man out, and I saw most of them. By then I knew most of them, at least all of them. I knew I was the odd man out, and I didn't get an idea what Swami was setting us up to. It took some time for me to realize that they're all speakers chosen for the Dasara event, those 10 days. And here I was one of them. And the moment it dawned on me that, I'm one of those chosen speakers, I started praying. I was no longer listening to what Swami was saying. I started praying to Swami, not me, please. I'm not ready. Right? No, Swami knows everything. Swami looked at me, smiled, and he said, "You don't want to do it this time?" I said, Swami, please, not this time. This is not something that we do. So when Swami tells us to do something, we just get up and do, right? But I was still new, and maybe I was not ready at that point of time. So he said, "Okay, some other time." So I had a beautiful. Then I was back in the room, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I enjoyed the session more as an observer, while Swami was guiding others to speak, and the Dasra happened. Fast forward to that summer, we were in Vrindavan. We were here for our summer project. We had just come back from our Kodaikanal trip, which Swami blessed us with. One of the most beautiful moments with Swami in Kodai Sai Shruti. Again, one evening, Swami looked at me and said, "Now, are you ready to speak?" I said, "Yes, Swami." By then, 1 year into the campus, Swami's fold, at least I knew that Swami will take care. I said, "Fine." And I also, to be very frank, I knew that thrice sessions are a limited crowd, more internal crowd. Even if I fumble, it's okay. I'll not disappoint Swami, and I'll not project. Being not a good Sai student, good enough to speak in front of others. I said, internally, it's still fine. So that evening, I took help of one of my classmates, wrote a speech. We all know Swami doesn't allow you to look at even a sheet of paper or even notes. You have to speak from the heart. So for me, it was first time. So I prepared a speech and I was all set for the next evening. So as soon as we assembled the next evening at thrice, Swami looked at me and said, "Ready?" I said, "Yes, Swami. Please bless me." He said, "Okay." So the session started. Swami started talking, and there was another speaker before me. He started speaking. When he was just ending that talk, the other Swami student, there was some commotion at the door. So, and in comes the then Vice President of Industry, Shankar Dayal Sharma. And he walks in, you can understand. The moment he walks in, the goalpost stands shifted, metaphorically. So, then I'm not even there in the picture. So naturally, Swami started speaking to him. He spoke, and the, the evening program moved on. And since after that, I never got an opportunity to speak. So it's been one of my regrets in life that I could never speak in the physical presence of Swami. And once I got into the job, I started working on my public speaking. Every time I get an MC word of thanks, I would take it. It became so much so that when I was in Delhi, I became it was taken for granted that Subash will do the introduction word of thanks, and I'll gladly do that. Step by step, strengthening that muscle, getting that confidence. But I never got the chance to speak in Swami's physical presence ever. But then Swami blesses me with these opportunities. And every time I get up and speak, I feel that somewhere Swami is listening, Swami is speaking through me. And it means a lot to me, which takes me back to just to set the context. Why so much fuss about public speaking? A lot of Swami students and devotees are natural speakers, orators. So I was born in a village in Kerala, did my primary schooling in the vernacular Malayalam medium. I got introduced to ABCD in fourth standard. Then dad was in army, so we moved school. Some 6 or 7 times I moved schools before I finished my 10th standard. So I was almost after my primary stage, I was catching up. We moved from vernacular to English medium, state syllabus to CBSE, 9th and 10th. You can imagine. And I'm not an intelligent student. I'm a very average student right throughout, with more interest in sports, games, and extracurricular activities. So I was all perpetually in catching up mode right through my education after my primary school. So I never got to read those books, do a lot of stuff that a lot of youngsters would take for granted. Yeah, so even when I joined Parthi, I was not confident of speaking. So what you see today is a very different person from a public speaking or a very generally speaking point of view, and it's all Swami's grace. And I think Zig Ziglar, the iconic Ziglar says, success is where you start and where you are today. Right? Once Swami comes into our life, once he takes over our life, then the magic starts manifesting. Yes, and we just have to hold his hands, and he'll take us through. And I'm a small example of the infinite grace of Swami at all levels. So today, when I speak and when I share stories, those are things that Swami has touched, given me the confidence. Now you ask me to speak, anywhere I speak. Yeah, public speaking is like my hobby these days. I would have almost become a politician, but for being a science student. Right? That is my, that's the evolution in my speaking. So, uh, it was almost catching up mode. That's why public speaking is very important to me. Generally these sessions, I'll share a couple of my experiences, what got me to Swami, and then, where Swami kind of shifted gears and touched my life. And from there, what I do now, how I'm leveraging Swami's grace and Swami's teachings. And then I'm happy to take questions in fact. So once I had this early education, then landed in Puttaparthi. Long story short, I did not make grade in IIM entrance. I did not even clear. I thought I got into Bombay MMS at 4 campuses. I thought I was very confident that I'll get. I didn't get. And then Puttaparthi admission came up on the newspaper. I checked with a friend's father who was a Swami's devotee, a PhD in geology, and then I landed at Puttaparthi. So once I landed there, till then I was not even a devotee. I was more a critic because during my school days in Kerala, I had even stood for elections as a communist candidate, SFI, the Student Federation of India, and I had a landslide win. So no, the foundation was more communist than being spiritual. I'm just kind of 22 years of life. I'm kind of bringing it quickly to Prashant Nilayam. Somehow, the fact that I was not selected for IIM MMS in Bombay, I reached Puttaparthi for my MBA entrance. I was not, I just came for my MBA. I was very clear. I didn't come for anything else. And somebody whom we looked up at that point of time in Hyderabad, he even advised, saying that just go, get your MBA and come back. Don't get into the rest of the stuff. I was advised. He was like a mentor to the family. And I landed there, went through the process of admission, came back with the Swami's photo. Yeah, I mean, something touched me. And this is, I'm talking about April, May, summer 1988, when Prashanthi Nilayam was empty, because Swami was in Vrindavan and then in Kodai. So there was hardly anyone except for us, aspiring students there for admission. So once I got admission, Swami's grace, I was admitted. I reached, again came back 1st of June to join as a student of Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. I was still just a student and aspiring MBA walking into B school with a very clear dream to become an MBA. Right? At least those days it was the degree, perhaps. First session, within a week, Swami called us all for a group interview, the class interview. The moment he got in, Swami started talking. He gave us a lot of sessions, lot of interactive sessions with Swami as a group, the entire class of 28 of us. He started talking. Right through the session, he kept looking at me, smiling at me, and I was smiling back, keeping my palm folded. And somewhere I was sitting in front of Swami, right in front of Swami, and 28 of us and a couple of our lecturers. Suddenly, Swami stopped in between and he bent and he kind of came rather face to face and he said, I know you. I know what you have been saying and thinking. And it was like a fast forward flashback because when I was during my degree days in Hyderabad, when one of our family friends used to have bhajans at home, we used to criticize. We used to say Swami was all magic about materialization and other things. That was my background. So it just flashed in my mind, that X-ray look, Swami when he looks through you. But then he said something which I'll never forget in my life. He said, forget the past. Be a good boy. And for me, something turned within me at that point of time because I could sense that I was forgiven for sure. And also I knew that I could sense that love that people speak of Swami. Till then it was more what I'd heard from my classmates and other friends in the campus, just less than a week. But then something churned within me. And I started writing letters home. And in my first letter, I requested my dad, who was an army man. I said that I requested to file these letters because I am not maintaining a diary here. This could be my memories for future. So today, this afternoon, just to mentally get into the zone, I was going through those letters. All June, July, August. I came only up to August. I had a very clear instruction from parents that every week you should write 2 letters, and I did that religiously. And what Swami would say when you walk on the darshan, he will make fun of my. I had a normal ring. He would look at. I had a copper bracelet. He'll make fun. A lot of things used to happen during those lower portico days. Then something churned, and I from then I'm saying this. I know there are viewers here, others, some of them who know me, and some of them who don't know me. But I stand open to scrutiny here because from that day I resolved that I'm going to just try to be a good boy for Swami. They say every saint has a background, right? And every sinner has a future. I know I was no sinner. I was just an average, very ordinary kind of a person from a village. So I had not committed sins, nor am I a saint. But I knew that my journey from that day till now and rest of this life at least is my journey to become that good boy for Swami. And even today when I was reading those letters, At least in those 3 months, June, July, August, multiple times Swami reminded us as a group and also to me that he expects nothing from me individually and also collectively as a batch. He said he just wanted us to be ideal citizens. He said Swami wants nothing from me. Yeah. So that was my journey to Swami. So once that session happened, something changed. Then the July, Swami invited my parents. They came. Swami was very kind to bless the family. My father was an army man, infantryman, who and with a communist heart, you know, growing up in Kerala. But Swami touched him so beautifully that the entire family became Swami's devotees. Because it doesn't help when somebody is pulling the string the other direction, right? Then it becomes a very beautiful journey. So the entire family, so much so that much later with Swami's blessings and arranged marriage, they were perhaps as devoted to Swami. And the only reason why they agreed to the proposal was that I was a Sai student. So Swami has just taken over life from me since then. And again, going back to Zig Ziglar, where I started in my early school struggle to where I am today as a leadership coach, where I work with corporate leaders, it's just Swami's miracle, Swami's magic in action. I take no credit for anything that I've achieved. It's just Swami's love in action. But could I have done better? Yes. Yeah. Going back to the campus days. Now, the monkey mind is at play. Right? Swami says the monkey mind bitten by a scorpio, a drunken monkey. There are different levels of monkey mind in play. So my first semester was still like that for 6 months. So after 6 months, Swami gave us a lot of chances individually and as a group. And we didn't want to go back to parents' or home during the first break. But Swami said, no, parents are waiting, you all have to go. So Swami instructed and we all went back. And we said, Swami, you have to be with us. The fear was that Swami should not stop talking to us individually to the batch. We didn't want to take the risk of, getting out of Swami's favor, right? Swami's love. But Swami said, no, I'll take care, and we went. Now, I say that this was another, perhaps, the milestone in my journey to Swami, and it's all Swami's grace. During the break, just before going, just the previous evening, Swami on the upper portico, he was just walking around after darshan, after interview, and he spent, generally, so you're going tomorrow, be good boys, and all that on the upper portico. That Swami, very subtly, no one around me picked up this, but Swami looked into my eyes and said something very subtle, saying that he just did Venda. So Swami used to speak to me in Tamil because my mother tongue is Malayalam or Hindi. So Swami was indicating to me that don't take non-veg. And we come from Nair community. We take non-vegetarian food at home and also from army. So when I went back, I told mom that, Swami has indicated that avoid it. So I don't want to take non-veg. And, I just stopped everything since then. Since 1988, I have not touched. A small price to pay for Swami's infinite grace. So once I did that, we came back. I mean, I didn't have, and a couple of other things happened. We came back. And, it's baptism by fire. I'm waiting that first darshan, if Swami should not ignore. So we all are praying intensely. And during that first darshan, Swami looked, smiled, how was it, how are parents? Swami spoke on the portico. And after Bhajan, his Swami called two of us. There are two of us, batchmates, classmates, both from Hyderabad. Swami called both of us inside. And then Swami spent some 10 minutes with us. So the fact that Swami called, it was like, getting contact certificate from principal saying that we didn't disappoint Swami during the break. So both of us were called in. We had a very short interview. So Swami said, how was it? Generally, Swami started off, how was parents, they're happy, all that Swami asked. Then he said, Swami said, both of you were good boys. You did not have non-vegetarian. Both of us, he's also Nair, so both of us had not taken. Then he said, Swami told me, his parents asked him, why you are not taking, your favorite food. He gave a discourse on the benefits of vegetarian food, Swami said. And Swami had a hearty laugh, saying that, he was giving discourse. Somebody was taking all that 6 months back, he was giving a discourse to his parents and sister. So, I'm one up, collar up. Then he asks that friend, you know what he said when his parents asked him? He said, Swami said not to have, so I'm not having. He said, Entuku. I mean, he speaks fluent Telugu. He said, why all that discussion? I said, fine. Sorry, Swami. Then it was my turn, to burst the balloon. Then, Swami said, what was that discussion you were having with your friends? Now, I met my old friends, and by then Swami had given me this ring. Swami had materialized this ring during Dasara, and so they were making fun of materializations and things like that, right? So I had a two-wheeler. He said, you can ask Swami to give you a bullet or one of those bikes here of Sai Baba, all that. So these are old close friends. So I was trying to convince them. Then Swami said something, magical. Swami said, you also were like them. Then you came, you saw, you experienced. Let them come experience. You don't need to convince anyone. Then he said, if someone has not seen even a hill and you try to explain to them the majesty of Himalayas, can somebody even grasp it? So don't even go into those discussions. I said, sorry, Swami. No. So for me, student of marketing, my major is MBA marketing. It was a freedom that I don't need to sell Swami, right? I don't need to convince anyone about Sri Satya Sai Baba. For me, it was a very personal freedom for me. And for me, Swami is very personal. There are a lot of people in my network who perhaps don't know what Swami means to me. And Swami means everything for us, right? I mean, the organizers would know. I mean, Swami is our very breath of life. Nothing else, right? Not nothing else, literally. But there are so many people who don't know. So because Swami became very personal. Then, it did not end there. Then Swami said something. Swami said, you met your old family friends. So he was referring to that family where they used to have bhajans and even when we used to criticize Swami. So they have a second daughter who was my age group, just 1 year younger. So we were close, same age group. And both of us used to criticize Swami. So when I went to their home, she asked, so what is your take on Swami and the system and all that, right? Typical teenagers. So it was me who was giving philosophy, saying that I'm still exploring. I'm not this side or that side, because both of us used to make fun and joke till 6 months back. So Swami indicated that girl, what was the conversation that you were having? Now this girl had a short hair. So Swami is sharing that I'm a witness to every thought, every discussion, every conversation that you're having. For me, I didn't need anything more important than that Swami knows every thought, every word, every deed that I'm having. Do I live in that consciousness every time? No. That is my failure. That is my journey to Swami, that I'm still traveling, right, with Swami's grace. But for me, I knew that Swami is a silent witness. But Swami also gives a rope. Swami also gives a long rope to all of us, right? Even if he falls, Swami, and I must say, I've not fallen. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm committed sin, but Swami has always taken care. Lot of people ask me, have you had some great miracle like hijack experience or Swami pulling you out of an accident? I always say that Swami always prevented me from that, because I don't want to go through the trauma of those situations, because I'm not strong enough to handle all that. So I'm very happy that Swami has always prevented all those drama from my life. But I've always felt Swami's presence in life. So once we walked out of that room, I think a student of Satyasai Institute of Higher Learning walked in and a Sai student walked out. Now, we all know Swami say that it's not for you to label yourself as a Sai student. It's for Swami to tell whether we are living up to his highest standards as a Sai student. And it's not easy. All of us, the organizers here will know it is absolutely not easy in this world to live up to his ideals. But once we make that choice, once we commit to that, then it becomes a lot easier. You know, fast forward into my short stint, 5.5 year stint in the Middle East, where I was working with with a global leader in Islamic banking, surrounded by all local Arabs and other Arabs from the Middle East or Central Asia. I say this experience with a lot of humility and gratitude to Swami. Now, there is this colleague of mine. I was a senior leader there, working in the bank. A local Arab who was my peer. He once asked me, "I've met a lot of people from your country. I've seen a lot of people from your subcontinent. There is a lot of people in the Middle East, as you all know." But he said, "What makes you different?" He asked me. So I said, "I have a teacher, I have a guru, right? That's the only difference." So then he asked me, "Who is this guru?" So, I always used to I took out this photo of Swami and I said, "And all the credit that you want to give me, don't give me. It's him. He's my guru," I said. Why I'm saying that is, Swami always say that, I can always make tall claims about who I am, that I am God's gift to humanity. But no. So whether Swami holds us as Swami's student or Swami's devotees, or are we living up to his ideas on a day-to-day basis in our thought, word, and deed? Now, I also want to bring an element of the work that I do. So, 2011, right, 85th birthday, that was we were all at Prashant Nilayam for our Prema Bandham. January 1st, Swami has blessed the alumni to assemble, and we were there. So on 3rd January, on 1st January, Swami blessed me with the opportunity to hold his divine hand when he cut the alumni cake. On 3rd January, Swami called us all into the bhajan hall, and Swami gave us, only the alumni brothers. Swami gave an interview, group interview. Even there, Swami called me and spoke to me. And Swami was very weak. Swami was not well, if you remember. Swami gave me that, and then Swami asked me. Monkey mind. I asked Swami, please. My son was finishing his 10th that year with us in the Middle East. I said, "Swami, admission one paiyanakku." I mean, I spoke in Tamil. "Swami, please bless with admission for my son in 11th grade." Swami said, "Yes." Then he asked me, "Where are you? What are you doing?" All that, very feeble. He asked about the other classmate friend who was from Hyderabad. We got a lot of chances together. One thing he said in that short 1 minute or 2 minutes is that, "Are you ready?" He asked me. So I'm talking about 2011, right? In April, Swami chose to leave the mortal coil. We all know none of us were ready. But Swami kept asking 2-3 times, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" Even the night before Swami left the mortal coil, Swami blessed me with a dream that Swami was standing inside the super specialty hospital and waving his hand. I am standing at the gate. And I said, very unusual, why is Swami waving his hand from inside the hospital? Why is not Swami walking out? I'm thinking in the dream. But the next morning we got this news about Swami leaving the mortal coil. But when on that 3rd January, by then we had got this message from Swami that Swami is inviting a lot of his senior students to come back through some devotees and some teachers, and in some messages from Swami. So by then, once my son got admission, we started our travel back, making plans to come back. When I came back, I wanted to become a trainer in banking, and I wanted to become a consultant and get into semi-retirement mode. That was my dream. I didn't want to. For 21 years in the corporate, I was ready to step back and do something that I always wanted to do. But Swami exposed me to professional coaching, got me into this, and at every stage, Swami has guided me in different ways to become a leadership coach. So in 2012, I started coaching. As I was introduced early on, I work with corporate leaders, CXOs and CEOs. In 2014 September, I also got an opportunity to become a trainer for aspiring coaches like me. So today I split my time between coaching and training coaches. Why I'm saying this is, as an average student, it was never in my DNA to become a trainer teacher. I was never cut out for that. My mom wanted me to become a teacher because some of the respected members of the family, her cousins and their spouses, were all teachers. So she wanted me to become a teacher. She said, "You get a lot of vacation and 2 months, unlike dad who was in army and posted on the frontiers and other stuff." So, but I said I was not cut out to become a teacher. But today, I do something very fulfilling when I touch leaders, senior executives in the corporate, and I also train people to become a coach. Why I'm saying this is, uh, Abraham Maslow speaks about living a life of fulfillment, self-actualization need. I think that can happen only if you are blessed by a guru like Swami, a Sadguru like Swami, a spiritual teacher like Swami. And at every stage, Swami has guided me. Uh, Even the name, Regal was not my choice, it was Swami's choice. And there is something hidden there when Swami gave me the name Regal. He said, Regal is my choice. You choose what you want, the prefix or suffix. Then we chose unlimited, both me and my wife. So it became Regal Unlimited. So I have this line whenever I'm speaking to my community of coaches and mentors, saying that I do nothing. I'm just blessed to be a witness in the transformational shift I'm blessed to see in my clients. And this, every client I would have heard this from me multiple times. Every trainee coach would have heard from multiple times. And it is there on on my social media post that I'm just blessed to be a witness in the transformational shift. And it is divinity working through me. If it was just me, there was no way that I could have done what I'm doing today. So now I want to share one of my favorite experiences, two small, not small, but two big experiences in a small, short way. One of them happened during the sports meet, 1988, 89. So, it's a miracle that I touched basketball only at Prashant Nilayam. Till then, sorry, in my high school. And then after I left my high school, ninth and 10th, I never got to even touch physically the basketball. So I started playing basketball in 9th and 10th. And, I always wanted to be a basketball player. I have represented my school in my school 9th in 10th. We were district winners, part of the winning team. But basketball was very close to my heart. But during the inter-house matches, I was the vice captain of the team. I pulled a ligament and I was carried away from the basketball court during the matches competitions. And we were on the ground floor on the annex of the hostel, the NA, those of your family, NA4. So I was in the room, so I was missing all the football and basketball matches. I was part of the team. And, the first sports meet, a lot of action. No studies, the whole focus shifts to the sportsmen, the students know. And I was missing all that and I was feeling terrible. So Swami would send through this classmate of mine, Swami would send Prasadam, ask every day, how is he, send some message to me, but I was missing darshan and all the games. One evening, my house team was playing and barely with the pain in the leg, I kind of got up and I was watching the football match from the window. So all had gone for darshan. There was no one literally in the hostel. Others were in the sports field because of the matches. Suddenly, Shiv Shankar Sai sir opened the door from behind. I won't forget his voice. He said, Swami, Swami. And it's all happening in a split second. And I barely turn around and I see Swami walking in. He just opened both the doors and saw me walking into our dormitory. And Swami came like a breeze and he said, how are you? I said, Swami, fine, Swami. Thank you, Swami, and all that, And Swami created Vibhuti, gave. And he said, "You're okay. You'll get well soon." And in no time he was out. Now, why I share this experience is I was not even a devotee, not our family. We were new to Swami's fold. And I'm a very ordinary person at that point of time for sure. And here was Swami coming to the bedroom, to the bedside of a student who was merely injured a muscle or stretched a ligament. And that was Swami's grace. How much Swami can go to express his love for his students. And those are the inspirations that keeps me going today, right? It's not easy as an entrepreneur, COVID times, or even working the corporate for 21 years. But these are the inspirations that Swami has given. Just 2 days back, last week, once the schedule was shared and once this session was reconfirmed, I was praying to Swami for guidance. And unusually, Swami did not come in my dream. This almost may sound that I expect Swami. I was praying, Swami, give me some guidance. But I saw an alarm from I don't know. Some of you might know Dr. Mayur Pandya, who was a PhD scholar. I think at that time we were part of the Kodaikanal group. So Mayur said, came in my dream and said, "You know what to talk." And Mayur is always remembered for one experience he shared. He said during his student days in Trai, Swami had said, it seems that all that you need rest of your life is to remember these lovely moments. That is a satsang. You don't need to do any penance, nothing. Remember these moments. That is enough for you. And for me, I thought Swami has given me the guidance what I should be speaking and what I should remember to do. And I experienced that vibration when I looked at the letters that I saw today. One final, experience that is again very close to the family. So, mom, once Swami blessed with interview, we all wanted something from Swami as a talisman. So by then, first break, Swami has given me the ring. Swami has given me a bracelet. So naturally, later Swami gave a ring to my father, gave earrings to my sister. Mom had a very specific demand. Mom wanted a pendant from Swami. That was a prayer. And she would always carry a gold coin that she bought from her sister, who was at that time in Gulf, saying that Swami, you take this gold coin, give me. That was a prayer which we didn't know at all. This was between her and Swami. But this was her silent prayer, saying that is the talisman I want from you, Swami. So once when parents and sister were in Parthi, Swami blessed us with an interview in the morning. So typically Swami gives me the interview in the morning. Swami doesn't repeat in the afternoon. So as mom would say, she and sister were in normal dress sitting. Swami used to make my father sit in the upper portico. To a pleasant surprise, Swami asked me to call the family inside. So we all came in with the group interview. During that outer interview, Swami looked at mom and said, "Amma, give the coin." Swami said, "Now we have no clue what is this coin business between Swami and mom." And mom is blushing and feeling very bad that Swami, I'm not carrying. Sorry. So she's still saying that Swami, sorry, I didn't carry because I didn't expect you to call us in the evening. Then Swami tells us, dad, me and sister, saying that she wants to barter a coin with me and she wants a pendant. Now see, it is her innermost prayer. Swami knew that. And Swami is so playful, caught her wrong foot, right, as they say in cricket. Then Swami created. Then Swami gave a pendant with Om on one side and Lakshmi on the other side. Then she said, I don't want the gold coin. This is for you, Amma. And Swami said. So of course, you can imagine the joy of mom. So these are the ways that Swami has touched our lives. Right? Very last one, which is my perhaps apart from Swami coming to the room where I'm touched. I get emotional whenever I even think of it. This is, you all remember in 88, early 88, Swami took a fall, Swami slipped and fell in the bathroom. We all know that story. And Swami was not giving darshan. Just few days before that, I had missed couple of darshan before Swami chose to fall and injure his hip bone. So I was down with the viral, and Swami had sent medicine and Vibhuti through this classmate of mine. Swami was inquiring. So after a couple of days, as you all remember, Swami said Swami is giving that portico darshan. So by then I was getting better. And this is the days before Kulwantwal. It was all science. There was a neem tree on the boys' side. So since I was still recovering from the viral, I'd come in, with the sick boys, and I was sitting leaning against that neem tree. And Swami came on the portico. If you'll remember, Swami was, even from at that point of time, Swami was going in a wheelchair perhaps and throwing biscuits first on the girl's side, and Swami came here and were throwing biscuits. Swami is still giving. Imagine the pain when you have a hip bone fracture, right? But Swami is still giving. Then suddenly Swami looked at me and Swami gestured something. So it took a second for me to realize that Swami was still asking me something, telling me something. Then Swami was asking like this. So at that point of time, so for me, that is Swami's love. That is Swami's divinity. He remembered that a week ago. Swami had hundreds and thousands of things that he's managing, even at a physical level. But then he was still inquiring about a viral fever. How are you? So even, there are some seniors from the campus, even when they see me today, they say, no, I can't forget. That's what they say. Such a beautiful experience that Swami expressed his love. Those are the things that helps us to stay on the Sai path, Sai Ki Sang. Once again, thanks to the organizers, infinite gratitude to Swami to put me on this and allow me to share and speak. And I pray to Swami that, Swami, this is a time, most difficult time when we all need you, when the world needs your love. Swami has always been love incarnate. We all know, we have experienced that. We have been very fortunate. We need to live in that awareness and spread that love purely selflessly. Because whether the Shivoham or Samastaloka, I think that is also expected. We need to kind of live in a way that we are his messengers of Swami. It is every being, Swami has said, every being, knowingly or unknowingly, is on a spiritual pilgrimage. Swami has said that. So for me, every client, every person that I am working with is on a spiritual pilgrimage. So there is an extensive use of spiritual undercurrent in the work that I do. And I'm absolutely, no qualms about it. Yeah. My prayer also to Swami is that Swami send me clients and aspiring coaches who vibrate at that level of consciousness. Now, for example, we speak about self-actualization of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Self-actualization, he himself has clarified that it is about living to full potential. Spirituality for me is about living full potential. I use, if you those of you are tech savvy, if you just Google search for hashtag I to be to he, and there is a high probability that some of the posts will go to my personal post and company post. So I to be to he is very integral part of it. So typically leaders are generally who are high performers who are forced to look at the we. They don't go beyond that. So today we are talking about climate change and other stuff. Working with leaders, I kind of nudge them to go from I to we to he. I also speak about IQ to EQ to SQ. The world has accepted that IQ is not enough for leaders. Emotional intelligence or empathy is critical. But I also bring in spiritual quotient, which is SQ. And I quote, Jack Ma speaks about love quotient. Melinda Gates speaks about love quotient. So some of these people have spoken about variants of it. But I say it super encompasses the spiritual quotient for IQ and EQ. I also speak about, Things like hero's journey. There's another concept. Joseph Campbell is famous for his work on hero's journey. What a lot of people don't know is that he himself, his famous quote is follow bliss. Two words, follow bliss. And he says that is inspired by Satchit Ananda from the Hindu thought. So I say that, you can only delay your spirituality. You can't permanently postpone. So if you're talking about a full potential, how do you integrate your spiritual quotient? And I don't push, coaching does not allow you to prescribe anything. But what I nudge them is, what are you doing to expand your heart? I have a client, this is a case study that is published from 2013. He has ticked everything that he wanted to achieve from coaching, from his work and life. Almost 3 years back, before COVID, he told me once when he was in Bangalore traveling from Dubai that I have achieved everything that I set out. And he's in mid-40s, not very old. He said, what am I missing? What do you think? I said, since you asked me, and since now we are friends, I'm not speaking as a coaching client. And I said that what comes to me is what I've learned from a guru. That is, are you still stuck with I, me, my family, my career? How much are you expanding your heart for humanity? Start doing something for some seva service. You'll start seeing that. And he's taken some baby steps in some philanthropy and he can make the shift. So seva is something that I encourage people to do, to summarize. I allow them to define what is spiritual quotient for you. There is a quote from the book on miracles where Jesus is credited as saying that if you think you can do it yourself, I'll wait for you. Otherwise, I'll travel with you. I'm paraphrasing a popular quote. So I say that this is what you need to do now. And my mentor in coaching, he says the level of acceptance of spirituality in India perhaps is lower than some of the other Western countries today. So I feel the world needs a liberal dose of pure spirituality. The way Swami speaks about Sarvadharma, the way he speaks about Seva and Sadhana, and the way he speaks about how everything that you do can be an offering to him. You don't need to set around separate time for a lot of other activities, but even we can convert every work into spiritual activity. And that is the specific advice I got. I told Swami that I am more busy today as an entrepreneur than before. He said, why do you think you're doing my work? And then when I said that line, that I am blessed to be a witness on the transformational shift of my clients, I know that somewhere Swami is working through me. And unless we are we all know this group, we know that unless we are a flute, we cannot allow Swami to play with that flute. Something I encourage every client. I'm talking about very high potential, super successful, high on ego, lot of entitlement, the typical alpha male, alpha female kind of leaders that I've worked with. But I'm very bold in bringing an element of spirituality. Jai Sara.